Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dugout Football Channel for another season review. And this time it is our beloved Liverpool Football Club. And let's just say that this season didn't go quite to plan. But we will get into the nitty gritty of things. And I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by my friend from across the pond, Mr. Kyle Macfarlane from the Nothing But Reds YouTube channel. How are you, mate?
Good, Doug. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It is an absolute pleasure. We will get into the nitty gritty of things of our really, really poor season as well. But we do like to start with quick fire questions. So I know that this question is going to be very, very difficult. But who is your favourite current player at Liverpool?
Bobby Firmino, only because his contract technically ends July 1st. So it's Bobby Firmino for me.
Bobby Firmino, yeah, I absolutely have to say that he is going to be very, very badly missed by everyone at the club. I think I know what this answer is, Nick. But the player of the season for Liverpool,
it's got to be Salah, right?
Or Alisson. I think.
Well, I mean, yeah, Alisson won it, but I mean, it's either one of the two. A lot of people had off seasons, inconsistent seasons. We didn't see the best of Jota from the injury. Diaz, same thing. So you couldn't go wrong with either or, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the answer to this one. Favorite goals scored by Liverpool this season?
It's a good question. Probably Trent's goal. I can't remember who it was against. But it wasn't a free kick. It was from open play. I'm just trying to remember. Oh, God. Give me a second to remember that one. But, yeah, what's yours?
Gakpo against Manchester United, the chip.
Oh, God, yeah. That's a good one, too. Yeah. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take that back. It wasn't Trent's. I think for me, it was when Bobby Firmino came on in that game, and he scored the 7th. I think that was like right after the Lynx came out with him like not renewing his contract. So I was like, this is perfect. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sentimental goal for me.
100%. So, yeah, that's just a wee sort of quick fire, wee questions to get you going, because let's just say season 22-23. Well, we finished 5th. We're in the Europa League for the first time since Klopp's first season. Champions League round of 16, 6-2 against Real Madrid. We'll get into that. League Cup 3-2 to Manchester City, and Brighton 2-1 in the 5th round. Let's just say, Kyle, that we started slowly and it came back to bite us.
Yeah, and I think for me more so it was what happened to us in the winter. You know what I mean? Like right after the World Cup, there was that 2-month period where we were losing games we shouldn't have lost. And I think as a result, yeah, we battled back. Like we went from, I think we were probably as low as 10th at one time, maybe for like a day, but we're like 8th or 9th. We ended up battling back. It was just too little too late.
Yeah, and as well, we did start the season slowly because if you remember that we didn't win until the 4th game. You know, we drew against Fulham 2-2. We drew against Crystal Palace 1-1. We lost to Manchester United, I think, for the first time in a long, long time. And then obviously comes the 9-0 against Bournemouth. And not one of those games this season would I've said we've actually played well in any of these games.
Yeah, what's crazy about this season is I saw a picture of it, and it was just kind of reminded me, you got the 9-0 against Bournemouth, you got the 7-0 against United, you got, 6-1, 7-1, or 6-0 against Rangers, 6-1 against Leeds. So many games that were just dominating, just absolutely blew the other team out, shut them out in some cases. But then you're right, we draw against teams, we lose against Leeds, we lose against Nottingham, we lose matches we're not supposed to lose. Just a very inconsistent season all over the place.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and then it goes on to, say that, the Champions League round of 16 as well. I mean, look, group stage was all right. I know we lost to Napoli, etc. But the 5-2 against Real Madrid, that's the most disappointing aspect of this, is that we were very comfortable against Madrid. We were 2-0 up. We were absolutely cruising. We allowed them back into the game. And then to just capitulate like we did was very disappointing.
100%. What pissed me off even more was and I think this is probably what you meant, was just such a strong start, very optimistic start. 2-0 up, and I think we were playing extremely well. And then as soon as, because Allison's mistake was the first goal back, right? That was the
Yeah.
first goal they got back. I think as soon as that happened, I think the team mentally just checked out. I think they lost the confidence that they built from those two first goals, because for Darwin to make that flick goal, I mean, to open it up, I think that showed a level of confidence. I think the entire team built on that. But Madrid weren't going to give up. They never were. But I guess like the final nail in the coffin, honestly, even though it was the first thing, as soon as Allison made the mistake, I think it just killed all the confidence, man. And Madrid just saw an opportunity and they capitalized on it.
Yeah, it was just so disappointing. Another sort of reason for me as well that I've not been one of Joe Gomez's biggest fans this season, and I just think he's at a stage now in his career where he's at a crossroads with Liverpool Football Club. I think as well he's kind of falling down the pecking order now. If you look at the defenders that we've got, also Van Dijk, Konate, Matip. He is kind of falling down there. I'd probably even put Nat Phillips above him. That's my thing as well. But does he have a future, Joe Gomez, as a centre back? Because for me, I feel like he's like a 16, 17 Sacco almost.
Wow.
Gives me butterflies every time I watch him play.
Yeah, definitely an interesting comparison there with Sacco. I think, well, the club clearly see a future with him. They just gave him that extension last season, or maybe even earlier this season. New deal for the guy. So regardless, they see him as part of the club. We're not really a team to sell players unless they're like young players. I know we just let Leighton Clarkson and some of these players go, but Joe Gomez, for me, is a better right back than center back. Now, that's based on
Yeah,
this season alone. Because if we've seen him in the past, when he was next to Van Dijk for almost an entire season, he looked phenomenal. And people were debating who's better, Matip or Joe Gomez. And I think that season, unfortunately, may have been one of the best seasons, or maybe just the best we would see Joe Gomez at ever. There were times in this season, I feel like you could probably relate to me on this too, where I was uncomfortable with Trent being at right back. And like Klopp
yeah,
ended up playing Joe Gomez for a game at right back. And I said to myself, we actually have someone who's defending at right back. I can't remember who it was against, but I actually called for Joe Gomez to keep playing right back for a while. But again, of course, we got to play Trent, and maybe that's ultimately what made Klopp decide to put Trent in the midfield later on in the season. I don't know. But to
yeah,
answer your question, I think it is a good debate to have. I think Joe Gomez is going to stay at the club, and he'll probably continue to play this role of filling in at center back, because, Matip probably going to stay at the club, and I think he has one more year left on his deal. Correct me if I'm wrong. He might
yeah.
fill in for Matip once that's done, but Joe Gomez isn't old, man. He's just now entering his prime. So to let him go, I think that would be a mistake, and I think that's ultimately why the club gave him that extension.
Yeah, I think the game you were talking about actually was Rangers away. I think he played right back that day. I think Trent was on the bench there as well. League Cup, look, everyone can get beat by Manchester City 3-2. That was kind of one of the games where I thought, right, this is where Carvalho sort of starts to show it. Do you feel sorry for Carvalho in a way?
A little bit. But at the same time, not really, because I feel like Liverpool do this recently, at least under Klopp. You look at Minamino, for example. Minamino was a deal, right? You get a good player for a deal, and I think Carvalho was the same thing. You get a player of good quality, not great, but good quality for a low fee, and you see what he could do. Minamino didn't really get the playing time he deserved, and we ended up selling him. I'm worried it's the same exact situation with Carvalho, where we kind of just got him to flip him, right? And I've been saying this for a
Mm,
while now, but Klopp knows what he's looking at. He sees this guy every day in training. Of course, you and I would love to see Carvalho more. I like the style he brings to the team. I like the way he plays. But clearly he's not above whoever else is in the pecking order, or Klopp doesn't see what he thought he could get out of him in practice on the pitch. So I think a loan would be great for him. I don't want to sell him because, again, he's young as hell. Like you
yeah,
buy a player young, you wait. You don't You don't make a decision after one season. Guy hasn't even fully matured yet. So put him out on loan, maybe send him back to Fulham. I don't know. Or maybe a lower league side. I mean, I feel like he needs to be playing Premier League football, though, if he has any future chance of playing for Liverpool.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, Leipzig rumours seem to be sort of
Right.
going through there, and I think Leipzig would be a good move. I agree with you. I think I would want him to obviously stay in the Premier League. We have to talk about our transfer business because
Yeah.
it is coming to, well, look at the players who are obviously going. Obviously, Arthur's back at Juventus. That deal just did not work out. Carvalho looks like he's going to be going out on loan. Calvin Ramsey, he's going to Preston on loan as well. And obviously, we did get Darwin, but we did get Cody Gakpo as well. What did you make of our transfer windows?
Honestly, man, I think Cody Gakpo was a very slept on signing. I think he has adapted extremely well for a player of his size, 6'4". He was always going to be physically ready for the league, but I think I completely underestimated his technical ability. I get excited watching Gakpo. So for the price, 37 plus add-ons up to 53, something like that. Great deal. And so far I'm excited with Alexis McAllister. I think that's a good signing for 35.
Yeah.
But we need more, Doug. We definitely need more. We can't, and we got to be aggressive with it. You know what I mean? We have to be aggressive with it. And for Jude to come out and say what he said, I know you saw it where he was like, the final was ultimately what helped me make my decision. That hurts. You got to go out and you got to buy talent now, you know?
I know it looks like Saicedo's potentially going to Chelsea as well. But Darwin Núñez, I mean, this guy has been completely criticised a lot ever since he came into Liverpool. He's always had his critics. But I look at the stats: 15 goals, 4 assists in all comps. That's not a bad start to his Liverpool career. He will only get better.
Not at all. That's a great, on paper, it's fantastic. Where Darwin falls short is the eye test. He does give up possession a lot. He makes poor decisions at times, and he's not great on the ball. But again, he's a striker. He's a finisher, and that goes to show with the 15 goals, 4 assists. There's a lot of potential in him, man. He's just raw. He needs to be refined. You have to be almost perfect to play at the top level in the Premier League and be good. But I think what people fail to realize is exactly what you brought up. 15 goals, 4 assists is not bad at all. That's more than any of these other players that people think are miles above Darwin Núñez. It's more than Anthony, Sancho, all these guys. Like, he is a good player. He also, mind you, once Gakpo came in, rarely saw the starting lineup. So these are all things to consider.
Oh, absolutely. And with Trent sort of merging into this hybrid centre midfield role, do you think we will get a right back?
I think it would be smart. I think it'd be really smart. Is it Connor Bradley, the guy who just won he's the backup right back, I guess, or left back?
He's the backup right. He seems to be the backup right back. There has been rumours about Benjamin Pavard, which I think would make a lot of sense. 27, very, very versatile, can play right back, can play centre back, can play, defensive midfielder. But I just think if Trent was to move into midfield, I think he will probably start at right back to begin the season. But I think he will sort of slowly merge into a sort of a midfielder now, I think.
Yeah, if this system continues into next season, I think what we'll see is the same team sheet. But Klopp really merged it to a back three. And so with the links, with Pavard, right, that would make sense. However, we're prioritized. I don't know if he's left or right-footed, but according to Romano and I think Paul Joyce, I could be wrong, maybe someone else, they said we're prioritizing a left-footed center back. So with that in mind, I honestly think Klopp really wants to go with a back three. Although on paper, lines up at the back four, Trent just shifts into midfield. And it would be essentially what it was at the latter end of the season, like a 3-2-2-3, which was amazing. I loved what it brought. It completely changed how we played. What I'm not as sure about is how McAllister is going to fit into this. All right, with Trent in that like pivot spot, not really a pivot spot. It's just like a deep lying playmaker spot. That really takes out the need for like a center attacking mid. He's kind of distributing everywhere. I'm interested to see what happens, but I really think that Trent is going to have to play every game, and that might make it not necessary to get a right back. You might want a center back in that situation.
Yeah, I think as well. Obviously, with Matip coming to sort of the end of his sort of time at
Yeah.
Liverpool, I think we do need to look at potentially getting a centre back. I mean, there've been links with that Wolfsburg defender name off the top of my head, Van den
Van de
Ven.
Ven or something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense as well. But when you obviously play a back three, you do need good players to play a back three. And the way that sort of Robertson played last season, it kind of struck me. Well, we definitely need better defenders to play a back three. But we'll obviously need to wait and see. But with the Europa League coming up now, do you think there's a chance of younger players to have a chance? Obviously, like your Ben Doaks, you're obviously Connor Bradley's. I even think Kelleher's going to stay this season because of the fact that he got Europa League to play. I think
Right.
he'll stay.
I think so. I think Europa League is, a lot of people crap on it. I'm excited to watch Europa League, but there'll be like a 50-50 split. You're going to see some young guys play. You'll see Ben Doak play. You'll see Kelleher play if he stays, right? You might see a Joe Gomez starting in the group stage, those kinds of things. And with the new signings coming in, you're going to see a lot of them play in the Champions League games too, just so Klopp can get a big look at these guys for extended, playing times. Because I don't think Klopp is going to risk a lot in the Premier League this year. I think a lot of the
Mm,
rotation is going to come in the cups because he knows he needs top four. He can't mess around in the Premier League this year. Rotate in
yeah,
Europa League, rotate in the cups, and if we sign more midfielders, those are the midfielders we'll see. In the Europa League, we'll probably see the older guys, the Hendos, the Fabinhos, honestly. Or excuse me, not the Premier League, we'll see those guys play. And then the Europa League, say we get Thuram, Kone, McAllister, I feel like those are the games those guys will play.
yeah. One big criticism this season is obviously Klopp and his tactics. There's been a wee sort of thing going around now. Obviously, social media, Twitter. It's a cesspit of sort of knowledge in this sense. But a lot of people have said, "Does Klopp know his best 11?" What do you think?
I think he has his favorite 11. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if he know. I trust he does. I mean, honestly, this is one rough season, and it's not the first rough season we've had, but it's few and far between. All right, this team is good, and this team is successful. I don't think there's any issues that should be asked of Klopp. I think the only thing that should have been asked of Klopp, he addressed. Do you need to change systems if it's not working? Yes, and he did. All right, he said we've been calling for it, but he finally did it. Trent going to midfield, and it worked. Okay. So everyone's going to criticize Klopp. Personally, I respect what he did. Okay, you ride what works as long as possible, and then once you realize it's not working, change it up. Okay, it's a big risk too. I mean, if you change something up mid-season, that is a huge risk. It could have even gotten worse, but it didn't, luckily. So I think Klopp knows his best 11, but chooses to play his favorites at times.
Yeah, I think that is a very very fair thing to say at the very very least. Now, obviously, hopes for the new season. I mean, the new fixtures were announced today. Chelsea away, which I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It sort of gets us away from the newly promoted sides. I think that was the first time in sort of 6 seasons. I think we haven't had a newly promoted side as well. Obviously, Bournemouth at home. Well, that's subject to change. I believe the Anfield Road stand, I believe, is 4 weeks behind schedule, according to a few rumours as well. But from what I've seen, it's obviously Chelsea, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Wolves, and West Ham. Not a bad six to get out of the way.
No, especially early. I saw that. I know you probably saw that picture of that leaked schedule, and we were supposed to play Luton Town, but Chelsea away. I like that to start the season. You get all the nerves out then, and then you look ahead. I mean, Newcastle, West Ham, Aston Villa, those are all tough. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I think, like you said, it's good to get them out of the way. Bournemouth, they're I don't want to say guaranteed, but you should be getting 3 points there. Okay, and it's good to get hard games out of the way early in the season because obviously going into Europe, if you're successful in those early parts, you can kind of rotate, which is what I think Klopp wants to do. He wants to rotate in the cups. Got to go strong. Should be good to go, man. We should probably get 13 to 15 points from that, wouldn't you say?
I would hope. I would hope for at least 13 points. Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I think last season we looked at the stats from last season, and we had, I think, 2 points out of the first three. That isn't good enough for Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I would just look at the way that we've been the back end to last season. If we can play like we have and just build on that into next season, I think we should be fine. But I think what's very, very interesting, the fact that we're playing Chelsea on a Sunday, it's kind of already getting us ready for the sort of the Thursday, Sunday games.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, they kind of had to take that into account. I'm excited for Thursday games because when I work weekends, I'm off on Thursdays. So that's going to be perfect. And I wonder how they'll adapt. I really wonder because the last 4 seasons, they've been playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's gonna,
Yeah.
I don't think it'll bother them too much, but
No, I don't think so. So what are the hopes for the new season? I mean, I've been kind of thinking that top four is definitely the target. I would even say try and win one of the cups.
I think we should win Europa League.
Mm-hmm.
We should absolutely win Europa League. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. It's very difficult, or I wouldn't say difficult. I'm going to say it's a tricky competition to win because I feel like the mindset of most big teams that drop into that are like, oh, we should win this. And then that comes back to bite them. So we can't have that mindset. However, we should win that, no?
I'm thinking we should win it.
Yeah. Like that shouldn't be an issue for me. And yeah, maybe one of the cups too, but I think we should be focused on winning Europa League.
Yeah. I think so as well. But I'm just thinking of the season ahead, and yeah, the Europa League. I mean, I think we must be one of the highest ranked coefficient in that Europa League. We must be top seeds. I think I looked at the teams that are obviously there, and I think West Ham were up there as well. Obviously, we're going to be obviously top seeds. I think we had like 134,000. I don't know what they say, either like coefficient points or something like that. Like that's mind blowing, the amount of points that we've had. But let's give it a go. Let's give the Europa League a go because the finals in Dublin. There's a big Liverpool contingent over in Dublin, so I'd imagine that there'd be a lot of fans to go over there. Why not give the Europa League a go? I've always been said, you're in it to win it. Any competition, you're in it to win it.
Right, and it doesn't matter what it is. You know what I mean? Like you win a cup, you win a cup, and you're absolutely right. Go in there with the mind, win it. Like who cares if it's the Europa League, man? If you're in a competition, your Liverpool Football Club, you should always be in contention to win it. Always. Any Premier League club, honestly, if you're in any European competition from the Premier League, you should be in contention to win it because it's the best league in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely is. One sort of final question I'll obviously ask, and obviously we'll go from obviously this into sort of next season. But what was your favourite game of last season?
Man United 7-0.
It's gotta be.
I mean, that to me was just remarkable. I mean, it was that, or I honestly liked the Tottenham 4-3, but Man United 7-0 to me was just elation, ecstasy, amazing. Yeah.
It's one of the first games where I thought, right, this isn't probably ever going to happen again.
No. That is so rare.
Yeah. It is so rare. Like I think our biggest win over Manchester United, I think, was 5-0 before that.
Wasn't it the biggest win or Man United's biggest defeat? I don't know how they worded it. Since like 1937 or some shit.
It was something like that.
Something insane. Yeah.
It was very, very it was amazing. It was amazing. Again, we didn't really play well in that game, but we didn't really have to. Once the first goal went in, their heads completely dropped, get a second straight after half time. and their heads completely dropped. But I am looking forward to next season, because I think the teams that we've got to begin the season with, there is to right or wrong, if you know what I mean. Especially if obviously if we do have 3 away games to potentially start the season, then Chelsea away, we drew 0-0 last season there. Bournemouth we lost 1-0, so we have to get that right. And obviously Newcastle we did win, but it is going to be a fascinating season. Let me just say, Kyle, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate you coming on. And guys, if you haven't already, please do go and check out Nothing But Reds. But for people who haven't heard of this channel, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, Nothing But Reds on YouTube and Twitter. Excuse me. Tons of content for you guys, whether you like live streams, pre-made content, player profiles, news, anything, transfers. It's all there. So go check that out, guys. Thanks, Doug. Seriously, I appreciate it, man. It's good to be back.
It's great to get you back on the channel, and obviously we will get you on very, very soon. But guys, please do give the stream a like. It does help the algorithms. Also, do hit that subscribe button on my channel and on Kyle's channel as well. And also hit that notifications bell, because YouTube do not like notifications. And if you hit the notifications bell, yes, you will be notified whenever we upload as well. But fingers crossed that the 23-24 season will be a better one for Liverpool, and hopefully a trophy or two. Good night.